Welcome back to The Secret Life of Parkinson's. I'm Jessica Krauser, and I'm not with Brian Baker, but I'm with our very own Stevie B.
Hello.
Happy to have you here today, Steve.
Thank you.
And Steve is here today because we have a special guest, Gina Nicastro. She is joining us. She's a speech pathologist. You're a speech pathologist from Ohio ENT and allergy physician. So thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So today, the topic we're going over is the importance of voice therapy for people living with Parkinson's. More specifically, I know, Steve, you have gone through a lot of voice speech things.
Correct.
So you thought it would be perfect for one of our segments. So we get to ask Gina a lot of questions, and we're going to see videos, and hopefully we'll get some tips on some exercises that we can do.
Absolutely.
One thing I wanted to start us off with that I just learned as I was doing some research is that 75% of all people living with Parkinson's will experience changes in their speech at some point as the disease progresses. So with that in mind, when do people go to see you?
So there can be a couple of different changes that can happen with speech. It can be speech clarity, so your precision of your speech, your articulation. So people can get slurring of speech, that kind of thing. Or it can be your voice, which the voice might become quieter or monotone and things like that. So personally, I think people should come in as soon as they start to notice problems with the voice and speech, and we can start exercises right away.
So when did you start noticing things? Because I didn't think anything of it with you.
It took more oxygen for me to talk, it seemed like, you know. And I felt that I was losing some of the bass tone in my voice, and found out when I came in for a checkup that my vocal cords have atrophied quite a bit, and that was the cause of it. They were atrophied?
Atrophy, yep, weakened. They've lost a little bit of muscle mass, muscle tone, those muscles.
And how, like, is it because we're not using it, or like?
It can be because vocal cords are muscles just like any other muscle, so use it or lose it.
Yeah.
But it can also be part of the Parkinson's.
So how often do you go?
Well, I was there in June, this past June, and is that when we did the injections?
Yep.
And then I was back in October to see what the injections, how long they lasted.
Is that what you do, or is that what the doctor?
That is with the doctor.
Okay.
That's a procedural intervention. So I think, Steve, we began about 2 or 3 years ago initially, and we did a round of voice therapy. Probably we did once weekly to every other week in the office.
Right.
And then daily you had homework to do, voice therapy homework. Right. And so that was probably 6 to 8 weeks. And you had some really good benefit with that.
Right.
So you notice a difference?
Oh, big difference. And people around me also noticed also.
Oh, really?
But once I got lazy and I stopped doing the exercises, came right back.
Like what
so you
comes
have to stay
back?
on it.
Like
It's just more difficult to talk, and volume levels and bass tones.
Were you drawing out your words, or like?
No, it's not a matter of how fast you speak or anything like that, but it's how much effort that you have to put in order to get your vocal cords to make that sound.
So what are the types of things that you had to do?
Well, I do the ah, o, e, and I...
A-E-I-O-U?
Yeah. And then I do what I call sirens, because I go ah. I do it much louder.
How long do you have to do that for?
I do reps of 6 or 8, and then all the way through. And then, see, I do my vocals when I'm driving to workouts, exercises.
I wish I was.
I'm not allowed to do it at home because Judy says it scares the cats. So I literally started as soon as I hit Smothers Road, and by the time I get to College Street, I'm usually on my sirens, And then after that, I do color commentary on cars that pass me and things like that, like, you know, Corvette and BMW is getting races, and I'll say, whoa, the BMW is coming by, and then here comes a soccer mom and a Plymouth. So, I mean, it's just stuff like that. And then I sing the Star Spangled Banner because of the range of pitches from high to low, and I do that in ahs, e's, and ohs.
How are you on a scale from 1 to 10?
Now?
Are you a good singer? No, are you a good singer?
Oh, singer? Oh, excellent.
I knew that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to capture
Just
that.
ask my cats.
So what happened when you went to visit Gina? Like, what did you initially go through?
So the first visit is typically an assessment, so an evaluation, where we put a telescope in, and I think we have a video to show, Steve's video of his voice box, to look at the vocal cords themselves and see how are they moving, how are they vibrating, what do they look like. So there's Steve's voice box. We give numbing medicine in the nose and throat, and then we put the telescope in. The white bands of muscle that make a V there, those are the vocal folds. And you're going to see Steve making sound here, and the vocal cords are vibrating.
Right there.
In the center there of the shot.
Sorry.
So it does.
Oh, wow. Why is it go like that?
That's the vibration.
Oh.
That's
I
the
had no
vibration.
idea either that they look like that. That's amazing.
Yep.
Wow.
And we did find in Steve's case, the vocal folds are, atrophied. They're a little weaker. It's taking him a lot of effort to get his voice out.
Okay.
So, but other than that, everything looks very healthy in his throat. So we started voice therapy, and he did really well. But then, like he said, I think it was a good 2 years later, you hadn't been practicing as much, and he came back, and that's when we went to the procedural intervention with the doctor.
Okay.
So, but yes, for the voice therapy, Steve was a picture-perfect patient.
So had he kept up with his exercises, would he not have had to have?
Possibly. It's hard to say because Parkinson's is a progressive, disease. It may be that the disease progressed a little bit, or it may be that he wasn't practicing as much.
So do you see a lot of Parkinson's patients?
We do.
Is there like a certain time frame of like along the progression route of like how many years they've had Parkinson's before they start to see?
I think it's different for every person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. And what are all the different things that people might experience? Like what would bring them in?
So, like we were talking about the slurring of the speech, quieting of the voice, monotone, maybe where they lack a little bit of the inflection. Sometimes too, people can get trouble swallowing, and we also can look at swallowing with the Parkinson's. So any of those.
So what tips or exercises or things could people just do at home?
Yes.
Or like, because I don't have that as an issue yet. I might not, but seeing it's 75% of people, I guess it's bound to happen. Are there things I should be doing right now that will delay the progression of that? Kind of like exercise? Like
Exactly. So like what you're doing with the gym and everything, keeping yourself, your whole self in shape is helping your vocal cords as well. Part of voice is also your respiratory system, so your lungs, the breath that we take to get our voice out. So by working out and giving yourself, a cardio pulmonary workout, you're also helping your voice. But being young and still working, having your family, using your voice is probably enough for you.
Yelling at my kids a lot, that kind of
Yeah.
Yelling at Steve. No.
And I can also
And Brian.
I can also say that it takes a lot more air for the ah sound than it does for the o sound.
Why?
Like an ah, maybe I could hold for 15 seconds, but I can hold an o for probably 30 seconds consistently. And it's just, I don't know if it's placement or
Could be.
what.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So what exercises can we do?
So a lot of the things Steve's kind of incorporated into his daily life, I'll tell people to read aloud, sing aloud. Just like in the car, he's doing his car commentary. I'll have people read aloud the road signs or, sing along with the radio. You can do singing, counting, saying the alphabet, anything like that. The more formal exercises are kind of like Steve was saying, like prolonging those vowel sounds with good energy and good volume. Also using those vowel sounds to do a glide in pitch up and down, like the siren sound, so that it stretches the vocal folds out, it lengthens them, and then it shortens them. So those are all very good exercises.
And it gets some odd looks from other drivers on the road.
I bet. That's got to be pretty interesting driving next to you. That would be fun.
It is. Kind of fun. Especially in the summertime when people have their windows rolled down.
Yeah.
That's even
I can be
better.
heard like 5 cars back.
Steve's on the road.
Yeah.
If somebody comes in and they're already, I don't know if it's called, consider, I guess, slurring your words or just more mumbling or whatever. Can you treat that with just through exercises a lot? So I don't want to say reverse, but can you get back a little bit where you used to be?
Yep. And certainly if it's more, if it's earlier, more mild, definitely.
Does it ever get to a point where you almost do so much damage to yourself by not doing things? I mean, I guess we're not doing anything that's damaging, but is there ever there's no return, point of no return with your vocal cords?
I'm a living example of there is, you could bring it back. And the thing that I think is kind of amazing is because the vocal cords are so thin and they're so small, the whole area is size of a dime or something like that, that it doesn't take a lot of lengthy exercises to get it back in shape. I can probably be back in shape within 5 to 7 days after I've taken off for a few weeks. But it's kind of nice to do it every day, make it part of your everyday habits, and then I don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
Yep.
But it has made a big difference.
Yeah, that's good. That's great to know. And it's one of those things that I feel, we talk about it. I think especially when we're exercising, we try and be loud, say different, using our voices in different tones. But I think knowing that, because I do see a lot of people that are mumbling, Brian, a little bit, there's things that you can do to get yourself back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's a positive.
Well, and you hear Melissa say, use your voice in our warm-ups, the hello.
Exactly.
And you'll hear me, I'll be screaming it up high, and then I'll be barking it down low.
Yep.
And, people think maybe I'm just goofing around, but I'm actually expressing the full range of my vocal.
Exactly.
Very cool.
See? Perfect student there. Perfect patient.
You get a gold star.
I'm so proud of myself.
Pat yourself on the back.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else that you guys want to leave the listeners with?
Just don't stop if you start.
Yeah.
And it's never too late to start,
Yeah.
Makes a big difference. Maybe your wife won't say, quite as much.
Well, thank you, Gina, for coming on. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Steve, it was awesome having you here.
My pleasure.
We missed Brian, but, we'll deal.
Yeah.
Well, in our last 30 seconds, I'll leave you with this. Just like physical exercise, exercising your vocal cords is just as important. So if you notice any changes in your behavior when it comes to speech or your voice, remember, you can check with your doctor, see a speech pathologist, and see if there's any exercises that they can do for you. Thanks for tuning in.